Hey guys, welcome to this tutorial. My name's ThaTimster. Today I'm going to be going over how to get in and out of cars in the Blender game engine. So last week I did a tutorial showing you how to do exactly that, but with only logic bricks. And if you remember, all of this was full, even all the way down. You had to scroll down to get to the bottom of it, and same on this side. And I've gone and simplified all of that down using some Python scripts and joined them all together to get this on the player. And then on the cars over here, we've simplified it down to just this. Now the main difference between the logic bricks and the Python is with the Python you can drive more than one car. So right here, if I press P, move into this car, I can press E to get in, drive around a bit, press E to get out, and then run over to this car over here, and press E to get in, and there we go. Now we can drive around in this car. So on top of that, as you'll notice, the logic here is a lot neater as well. So a very efficient and nice looking system. Now just before I start the tutorial, if you've been subscribed to this channel or been watching the videos recently, you'll notice that there's one about every single week that pops up there. Now basically what that means for me is I have to come up with the tutorial, set it all up, record the tutorial, edit the tutorial, upload it all within the same weekend. Now this can get very tedious and it can stack up after a while. Then when you have other more important things to do like studying for exams or stuff like that, this can sort of get in the way. So because it is my passion and I enjoy showing you guys how to do stuff in the Blender game engine, what I'm going to start doing from now on is only posting a tutorial or freebie or some type of content every 2 weeks. This will give me a little bit more time to work on other things, but it will also allow me to increase the quality of these tutorials, make them more thorough, and possibly make them longer and better. So hope you guys have no problem with that, but either way, let's get into the tutorial. Okay, so once you have your logic brick file open, the first thing we're going to do is over here on the text editor, we're going to make it a lot bigger so we can see it better. And then in here, we're going to click the new button to make a new script, and I'm going to call this player control. So player underscore control, and then .py, just for good programming techniques. Like that. You can actually call it anything you want and you don't even need py at the end if it's a script. So then in the top line what I'm going to do is type in hashtag and I'm going to describe what the script does. Now this script will be obviously controlling our player, that's why it's called player control. So I'm going to type in controls player. And then I'm going to press enter, do another hashtag, I'll put the version number, so v 1.0 as in the first version. Then I'll press enter, do another hashtag, and I'll put my name, so by ThaTimster. And then we'll press enter and enter again, and then in this first line we're going to type in import BGE, so import the Blender game engine functions. Then I'm going to press enter twice, like that, go down to line 7, and then I'm going to type in CONT, which is short for controller, and then space is equal to space again. Then I'm going to type in BGE for Blender Game Engine dot logic, and then dot again, and we're going to have a lowercase g, so get with a lowercase g, and then a capital C for current, and then another capital C for controller. So get current controller. Then at the end of it we're going to put a opening round bracket and a closing round bracket. Very important you have this, and it allows you to access the functions within the current controller. Then I'm going to go to the next line, so I'm going to type in OWN and then space and is equal to, and then space again, and then I'm going to type CONT dot owner with an ER at the end, and basically what this does is I can just put own and then properties or anything I want to use instead of always having to type out CONT.owner. So then I can press enter and enter again, and so now we have the main setup done. What I need to do now is if we go back to our logic bricks, you can see we have some keyboard sensors coming in here, and then a property at the bottom with car is equal to false. And then on the other side we have some motions or some actuators. So what we're going to do is import in these sensors and import in the actuators. And then we're going to get the property here, this car property, using a Python function. So first of all, we're going to import this first keyboard sensor. So in here, what I'm going to type is W, so a capital W and then key for W key, and then space is equal to, and space again, and CONT dot sensors, like that. And then I'm going to do a opening square bracket, a quotation mark, and then whatever this is called. So here it's just called lowercase w, so I'll type that in, closing quotation mark, closing square bracket, and press enter. Now this W key here can actually be anything. You can actually call it anything you want to. It's just the name which we are assigning the sensor W to. Okay, so just to make the process easier, what I'm going to do is actually copy this. So drag over it, then you can go to edit and copy, or you can just press Ctrl C, and then we'll go to the next line, press Ctrl V to paste right there. And then instead of W key, it's going to be S key. And then if we go to our S key sensor, so the next one down, it's just with a lowercase s. So in here, I'm going to change it to lowercase s. Then move to the end of it, press enter, go to the next line, press Ctrl V again to paste. And this will be the A key. So in here, it will be lowercase a, just like with the other ones. And we'll press enter, Ctrl V to paste. This one will be D for the D key. And then in here, the first one, if we can click it, there we go, we'll change this to a lowercase d, like that. Okay, so now that's all the sensors imported in. Then we'll press enter and enter again to give us some white space. And now what we want to do is import in this car property over here. So what I'm going to do is name the variable I want to store it in. So I'm just going to call this car with a capital C is equal to, and then I'm going to type in own, just like we have up the top here, and then a opening square bracket, a quotation mark, and then the property that I want to import. So this one here with a capital C, so car with a capital C, then a closing quotation mark and a closing square bracket. Then I'll press enter and enter again. Then now what we need to do is import in our actuators. So as you can see, they aren't really named, just motion, motion 1, motion 2, motion 3, which isn't very good for naming, so I'm going to rename them. The first one to W, the second one to S, third one to A, and the last one to D. All lowercase, so they're easy to type out. Okay, and then in here what I'm going to do is type in forward, so capital F and then WD, like that, and then space is equal to, and then space again, CONT dot actuators, actuators, like that, and opening square bracket, quotation mark, and this is going to be our motion forwards, so just W, lowercase w, closing quotation mark, and closing square bracket. Then we'll take all this, press Ctrl C to copy, then click at the end of the line and press enter, then press Ctrl V to paste, and we don't want forward there again. This one will be called back, so BACK with a capital B. Then this will be S for moving backwards. There we go, lowercase s. Then making sure you're at the end, press enter again, and then we'll press Ctrl V to paste. And in here we'll type in left with a capital L and CONT.actuators, and this will be A, so the A key. As you can see in the motion we have A, so I'm just going to delete W, type in A, and then click at the end, press enter, then I'm going to press Ctrl V to paste, and this last one here, we'll go to the side, delete that, and type in right, so right, space, CONT.actuators, and this is going to be the last key, so lowercase d, there we go. And so there we have it, all the sensors, the property, and all the actuators we need. So now what I'm going to do is over here in my logic is here add a Python controller like that. Then I'm going to join that to W, S, A, and D last of all. And then same on this side, W, S, A, and D, there we go. And here I'm going to select my player control script, There we go. Now this won't work if you press P just yet because we haven't set up any if statements. So what I'm going to do is press enter and enter again to give myself some more space, and in fact I may as well press enter one more time. Then what I'm going to do is type in if and then a space, and I'm going to do the first key, so W key. So just the name that is right here. So if capital W key and then dot positive, meaning it's being pressed. And then also if we go back to our logic, as you can see the AND controller here requires two inputs to be true. So it needs you to press the key, but it also needs the property car to be false. So in our criteria here we'll do if W key is equal to true or dot positive, as in it's being pressed, then we'll type in AND, then it do another spacebar, and then here what we're going to do is type in this property here. So we'll type in car, which we've just changed to this right here. So type in car and then space and then is equal to, except this time we're going to have to put two equal signs instead of one, and then another space and then false, like that. Okay, so if W key is positive and car is equal to false. Now the reason we have two is to check if something is something like, to check if car is equal to false or is equal to true. When we add one, it would assign that value to whatever we put next. So we only use one equal sign if we are assigning something, but here we're checking something, so we have two. Then at the end of it, what I'm going to do is type in a colon, so shift and semicolon, and that will give me a normal colon. This is basically like typing in then, except in Python it's just a colon. Then I'm going to press enter, it will make an indentation, as you can see here, the cursor's all the way over here. And then what I'm going to do is activate my W key actuator, so forward, right here. So I'm going to type in cont.activate, activate, like that, activate, and then a opening round bracket, just like we did for get current controller. And then in here I'm going to put in forward, or the name forward. So capital F, lowercase w and lowercase d, then a closing round bracket, like that. Then I'm going to press enter and press delete 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And that will get rid of the indentation. If you press it 5 times, like this, it takes you to the next line and it can be a bit of a pain. So press enter and then 1, 2, 3, 4. And you're back at the beginning. Then we're going to type in else, so else, like that. Then another colon and press enter. And then we're going to type in cont.deactivate. So deactivate, cont.deactivate, and then another round bracket, and then capital F, W, and D, just like we have for the same name here. Then a closing round bracket, and that is the W key done. So if this criteria is true, it's constantly being pressed, and car is constantly false, then it will activate the actuator forward. Otherwise, it will deactivate the actuator forward, which means it won't be constantly going forwards all the time. Okay, so that's the first key done. Now to make this process easier, again, I'm going to select all of it, press Ctrl C to copy, and then I'm going to click in the end here, press enter, enter again, then delete 4 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, till we're at the very start again. Then I'm going to press Ctrl V to paste, and instead of W key, this is going to be S key. So I'm going to click in here, delete that, and then hold down shift and do a capital S, and then when S key is positive and car is equal to false, that's all fine. Now what we want to do is activate backwards. So instead of FWD, I'm clicking here, delete those, then type in capital B and then ACK. So just like we have in here for our backwards actuator. Okay, and then the same down here. So, we'll make sure our cursor isn't here, and then we'll click on it and delete, and then BACK with a capital B. Okay, so that's that done. Click on the end of it, press enter, and enter again, then press delete 4 times, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to scroll down to give myself some nice space. There we go. Then I'm going to press Ctrl V again to paste, and we'll do the same for the A key. So delete W, type in capital A, and cont.activate, we want to activate left. So in here, we'll type in left with a capital L, and same down here, delete forward, and type in left with a capital L. Okay, and then do it for the last one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, back to the beginning. Oh, we need another line, and then press paste, Control V, and then down here, change the W key to a D key. Okay, so just up here, D key, this one here. So D key dot positive and car is equal to false. We want to activate right. So instead of forward, I'm going to delete that and type in right with a capital R. Down here, the bottom, I'm going to delete that and type in right again with a capital R. Okay, so I think that is it done. We have the D, A, S, and W key. So what we're going to do now is, because we have all of this set up, we don't actually need these AND controllers here anymore. So I'm going to delete all of those. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. And then I'm going to minimize this Python module here and move it up to the top. There we go. And now it looks nice and neat. And we have all our properties set up. Now down here, this property, checking whether it's equal to false, we don't need anymore because we sourced it in through the script. So we can delete that as well. Okay, cool. We're already deleting actuators and sensors. Yay! Make it nice and neat. So that is the player control done. Then we're going to move along to the car and do the control for that as well. So again, over here, I'm going to add a Python controller. Join up W, S, A, and D. Then on this side, I'm going to join up the motions. So, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the top one here, I'm going to rename W again, just like with the last one. S, A, and D, all lowercase, so they're easy to work with. Okay, and then here we're finished with player control. So I'm going to go text, create new text block, and then you'll notice it's renamed it text, and all our code has disappeared. But don't worry, you can get that back if you click in here. You can see all our scripts, so we can just click on this one and there is all our code back. Okay, but we want to be on text like that, and then this one we're going to rename. So we're going to call it car control with a capital C underscore control and then .py at the end, and then we'll press enter, and then up the top here again hashtag, and I'm going to type in what it does. So controls the car, then press enter, another hashtag version number, so V 1.0 the version, another hashtag, and your name, so by ThaTimster. If your name's Bob, you'd put in Bob. Okay, and then press enter and enter again. And then in line 5, we're going to type in import BGE, so import Blender Game Engine, just like we had before. Then we're going to press enter and press enter again, and we'll import in our current controller, so CONT is equal to, and then we're going to type bge.logic, and then dot again, and then a lowercase g for get, and then a capital C for current, and then another capital C for controller. So bge.logic.lowercase g for get, and then capital C for current and capital C for controller. Again, at the end, we need our smooth brackets, like so. Okay, so round brackets, and that will allow us to use the functions within. Then I'm going to press enter, and in here on line 8, what I'm going to do is type in own, so OWN, and then space, and is equal to, and space again, and I'm going to type in CONT.owner. Okay, like that, so just like we had in the previous script. Then I'm going to press enter, enter again. So actually, to make this process easier, what I'm going to do is go along here to my player control script, and as you can see, before we do that, we have W, S, A, and D, so they're all called the same, and it's the same for the actuators. They are all called the same as well. So actually what we can do to make this easier is go to the player control script and select all of this all the way up to the top, and we don't need import, we don't need CONT, and we don't need own because we just typed all of that out. Okay, so we just need from W key downwards. Then we're going to press Control C, or you can go edit and copy, Then we're going to go along to car control and paste. So Control V, or you can go to edit and paste. Okay, so there we go. It's all typed out for us, nice and fast. Only thing we need to change is in here. So this property, obviously the car has drive instead of car. So in here, we're going to delete this and call it drive, so it's a bit more appropriate. And then in here, we're going to delete car like this, and then type in drive, exactly how it's spelled in here with a capital D. Then also what we need to do is where it says W key dot positive and then the property, we need to change this to drive. So I'll delete car and type in drive and do that for all of them. So in here, drive, and in this one, drive instead of car, and the last one as well, drive. Okay, so we've renamed everything and that should be working now. Okay, so down here in our Python controller, we're gonna go in here and click car control.py for our car. Then we're gonna minimize this, and then we're going to press the up arrow until it's all the way at the top, like that. Okay, so nice and neat. Now what we need to do is delete the AND controllers from the remaining logic bricks. So this one we don't need, this one we don't need, that one we don't need, and the last one we don't need. Okay, so we want all of these only to be attached to the Python controller. So before we do anything else, what I'm going to do is here, and I'm going to save it. So I'm going to click Save As, and it's called Getting In and Out of Car, and I'm going to put Python beside it, like that. And I'll click out and save it on my desktop, that's fine. Okay, so just make sure you save it so you don't lose all your scripting. Then what we're going to do is move along to the next thing, which is a lot more complex and involves sending messages. So, first of all, what we need to do is scroll in here, and we want to select our sensor here. Now what we're going to be doing is we are actually going to be deleting all of these, so all of the stuff we don't need, and actually what we're going to do is add a game property to this, and we're going to call this car door. So car door like that, you can just leave it on float, that's fine, we just need a property that is called car door. Now what this is actually going to do is this is going to collide with the player will sense it and then send a message to whatever it collided with, so the car sensor, and then that will be joined up to some Python in the car. So what I'm going to do is select the sensor here, go along to the physics tab over here, click on it, change it from sensor to static, make sure actor is selected and ghost is selected. Okay, then go along to the other side, do the same thing, delete all this collision stuff, and controller and message, and then here, we're going to click add a game property, and again, this is going to be car door, spelled exactly the same as it was over here. Okay, so just like that. Then what I'm going to do is to one of them, I'm going to, under the sensors, add a message, and this is going to be when it receives the message get in. So GETIN. Just like that, so get in when it receives that. And then I'm going to do the same to the other side. So click in here, add a message, and get in. Okay, and we'll just be saving that till later. It's just some pre-setup we have to do. Okay, so go to our player and we'll add our second Python script. So in here, we'll click text, create new text block, and then we'll do a hashtag again, and we're going to describe what it does. So what this does is lets the player get in the car and sends a message. Okay, then we'll press enter, another hashtag, and v 1.0 for the version, and then another hashtag, and by ThaTimster. Then enter, enter again, and as the same for all of them, import BGE at the top. Then we're going to press enter and enter again, and then we're going to type in CONT and then space, and then is equal to, and then space again, and then we'll do what we just had before. So BGE.logic.get with a lowercase g, and then current, and then controller, both with capital C's, and then closing round brackets. Very important you have those. Then what I'm going to do is press enter, go to the next line, and here I'm going to type in scene, and then is equal to, and then BGE dot logic dot get current. So just like before, but instead of controller, we're going to type in scene with a capital S. So bge.logic.get current scene, and then closing brackets on that as well, or opening and closing round brackets on that. Then I'm going to press enter and type in the same thing we had before, so OWN for own, and then space is equal to, space again, and CONT.owner. Okay, then we'll type in enter and enter again, and we'll start our script. So first thing we have to do is import what we need. So right now we don't actually have anything on our player. So what I'm going to do is here add a collision sensor, and here I'm also going to add a keyboard. This collision can just be called collision, and it's when it collides with the property car door. Just like what we typed in here. So car door there, and car door in this property here. Then this keyboard, I'm going to call it get in, and it's going to be for the E key. Then I'm going to move it to the top here, scroll out a bit, and under controllers, I'm going to click add controller, choose Python, join this to this, and this to this, and then in here, I'll choose my text script. Now I haven't actually called this anything, so I'm going to call this get in car. So GIC underscore, and this is for the player, so underscore player. So get in car underscore player, and then .py afterwards. Okay, and so now that should have selected in there. And so we have a keyboard going in and a collision. So minimize both of those, and that means we're going to have to import a collision and a keyboard. So what I'm going to do in line 11 is import in my collision first of all. So collide is equal to cont.sensors, and then a opening square bracket, quotation mark, and whatever this is called. So this is called collision. So I'm going to carefully type out collision with a capital C, and closing quotation mark, and a closing bracket. Then I'm going to press enter, go to the next line, minimize this, and open up my keyboard. This is called get in, so I'm going to type in, so I'm going to call this E key, although you can call it get in if you want to, just whatever. Then space is equal to, space again, cont.sensors, opening square bracket, quotation, opening square bracket, quotation mark, and then what we're going to do is copy in this name, get in. So get in, quotation mark, closing square bracket, there we go, and then we're going to press enter. Then what I'm going to do is I need something to check the status of this property car here. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to type in check underscore car, and I'll move away my cursor so you guys can see it. So check underscore car, then space is equal to, space again, and then here I'm going to type in OWN, just like we did up the top there. And then I'm going to press opening square bracket and a quotation mark. And then I'm going to type in my property. So down here, car. So capital C and then AR. Then I'm going to type a closing quotation mark and a closing bracket. There we go. Then I'm going to press enter and go to the next line. Now in this next line, what we're going to do is use our scene function. And so what we're going to do is type in player with a capital P. So we're going to have a variable called player, and space is equal to, and space again. And then what we're going to type out is scene. So selecting this right here, and then dot for a function, and we're going to type in objects. So scene.objects. Then we're going to type a opening square bracket, a quotation mark, and in here we're going to type what our player is called. So this is going to select our player. So as you can see, our player, if we go into the settings here, he's just called player with a lowercase p. So in here I'm going to type in player with a lowercase p, then closing quotation mark, then closing square bracket, and enter to the next line, and enter again. Okay, and so now we can move on to our actuators, although as you can see there are none attached. However, if you think about it, if our player collides with it and he presses a button, we actually want him to send a message to whichever car he's touching that he wants to get in. So what I'm going to do on this side is add a message so that he can send it to the car, join this up to the back end of the Python script controller, join this up to this, and in the message what I'm going to do is leave the to field blank because we'll be assigning that with the Python code, and in the subject I'm going to type in get in, like that. So this subject right here, get in, if we click on one of the sensors here, you'll notice that they also have get in, so they are sensing that message. So now what we'll do is go back on our player, scroll out a bit, and now we will import this actuator. So we're going to go back to our code in line 17, make sure your cursor is in the window, and then what we're going to do is type in M, S, and G, all in capitals, just to make it easier, then space is equal to, space again, and here what I'm going to type in is actuators, and then a opening square bracket and a quotation mark, and as you can see this is just called message2, but I'm going to rename it to get in as well. Okay, and now what you might be thinking is, wait a minute, you already got something called get in. But if you notice, right here we're calling sensors, and down here we're calling actuators. So sensors is everything on this side, actuators is everything on this side. So something completely different, so we can use the same name. Okay, so this is called get in. Then over here we're going to type in get in, like that, closing quotation mark and closing square bracket. Then I'm going to press enter and enter again. Now what we're going to do is type in our if statements. So if, space, and then collide, so it's collided. So if collide dot positive, like that. And just before we do anything else, we want this to be constantly checking. So what I'm going to do is go along to my collision here and set that to true. So it's constantly checking whether it's colliding. Then I'll minimize it and go back to the script here, make sure your cursor's in the window. Then I'm going to do a space and type in and then space again. And now I'm going to make sure the E key is being pressed as well. So E key dot positive. And then what I'm going to do is put in a colon, and I'm going to press enter. So what we need to do is get a list of all the objects he's colliding with that have the property car door, which is obviously only one sensor, but we still have to go through a list and select the first entry, which will be the only one as well. So what I'm going to type in here is OB for object and then list with a capital L, so OB list. And then I'm going to do a space, and then is equal to, and then space again, and then in here what I'm going to type is first of all collide, just like we have up here. So collide, I'll move my cursor, collide, so C-O, capital C, and then O-L-L-I-D-E, just like we have in here. So collide, and then dot, and then hit, and capital O for object. And then the last thing we need is list. So list. So OB list is equal to collide, just like here and just like here. And then dot as in a function from it, and hit object list. So the object's hitting it. And then in here we're going to type in the chosen car that the player has chosen. So we're going to type in chosen, and then underscore car. So the car that they have chosen. Then I'm going to press spacebar, making sure my cursor is in this window again. Then I'm going to press equals and press spacebar again. Then what I'm going to do here is I want to select the first object in this object list, which can be seen as an array as well. So I'm going to type in OB and then capital L list, just like I have typed in here. So my chosen car is equal to the object list, and now we need to select a spot in our object list. So if you worked a lot with computers, you'll notice that computers count from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whereas humans only count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So a computer will have 6 different values from 0 to 5, whereas a human will only have 5. which means that all computers start with the number 0 or value 0, which means that the first item on this list is, surprise, surprise, 0. So what I'm going to type in here is a opening square bracket, and then the number 0 for the first item, and a closing square bracket. So now this will choose from the collide hit object list. It will choose the first entry, which is obviously going to be the sensor here, and it will assign it to the variable chosen car. Okay, so now we'll press enter and go to a new line. Then what we need to do is in here we need to type in player, like that, just like we have in here for our scene.objects. Then I'm going to type in a opening square bracket and a quotation mark. And in here what I'm going to type in is my property that I want to change. So if I select my player here, the property I want to change is car. So I'm going to type in here with a capital C, and then AR, and a closing quotation mark, and then a closing square bracket. And then what I'm going to do is press space, and then is equal to, and space again, and then true. So to allow us to change the properties, what we actually have to do is we have to go into the scene, we have to get the current scene, then from the scene we have to select the objects, and then from the objects we have to select our one object, so player here, and then from that player we have to take down the properties, and only then can we change them properly. So we're going to press enter, and then in here what we're going to type is MSG, just like we had over here. And so we're going to activate this. However, before we activate it, we need to fill in this to field right here. So what we're going to do is type in a dot afterwards to access the functions within, and I'm going to call this prop. So the property and then capital N for name. And then what I'm going to do is assign this property name, or where the message is going to, and I need to assign this with the chosen car. So what I'm going to do is type in a space, and then is equal to, and then space again. Oh, I'll move my cursor. So message.property name is, or not property name, the to field is equal to, and here we'll type in chosen and then underscore car. Oh, car. So just like in here, the first object on the list here. And then also what we need to do is messages are actually strings that are sent across. So we need almost the string derivative of this. And to do that, after chosen car, we just type in .name. So the name of the chosen car, which is a string. And then what we're going to do is press enter and go to the next line. And then in here, what we're going to do is activate our message sensor. So cont.activate, and then a round bracket, and then in here we're going to activate MSG. So MSG all in capitals, and then a closing round bracket. Then I'm going to press enter again. And then also, again, if we go back to our logic bricks over here, what we need it to do is to parent the player to the car that he gets in, to ensure that our player moves with the car and we don't have our player just stay still and then the car drives off. What we're going to do is we're going to access the function purely from Python. So again, being able to use this scene function here and the scene objects using the player, what we're going to do is in here type in player with a capital P, player, there we go, and then we're going to type in dot, and then we're going to type set, so lowercase s, and then capital P for parent. So player.setParent, and then we're going to do a round bracket, and in here we need to choose the car that we want him to parent himself to. So in here we're going to type in the chosen car, then underscore and car. So for our player, it's going to set the parent to chosen car, then finish it off with a closing round bracket. So then I'm going to press enter and press delete 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then type in else. Else, like that. Then type in a colon. Then press enter. You go to the next line. And here what I'm going to do is deactivate my message. So if this criteria here is not met, we don't actually want our message to still be sent out. And then what I'm going to do is type CONT and then dot, and then deactivate. There we go. cont dot deactivate. And then what I'm going to do here is do a opening bracket and then MSG, just like we had before, and a closing bracket. Both of them are round. So what we're going to do here is on this side, that seems to be all set up fine. So our collision's there, our keyboard is there, and that should all be fine for now. We can go around deleting logic bricks after we are done completely. So what I'm going to do is first of all test it out. So before you test anything, we're going to go up here to Window and click Toggle System Console. Now while this may seem complex, it really is your very best friend when it comes to coding in Blender. It tells you everything that is wrong when you start a game, tells you where to fix it, tells you what line it is, and possible suggestions for how you can fix it. So just for now, I'll minimize it, then we'll go into our game, press P, and as you can see, they both move around at the same time, which obviously isn't very good. Over here, we're going to go to car control. I've spotted the error, there we go, when drive is equal to false, which means that it is allowing it to move around. However, we only want it to move around when the driver is driving. So actually what we need to do is type in true instead of false. So in here, we'll do the same, type in true, because we only want it moving when it is driving. We don't want it moving when it's not driving. So it'll be some scary ghost car or something. Okay, so make sure they are all in true. Capital T for true. So, either way, we have got our 3 scripts done. So get in car for player, and both the player controls. Now what we need is a get in car for the car. So what we're going to do is select our car, and go under text, create new text, and again, in the top line, explain what it does. So this will start our timer. So it starts timer, and allows for car movement. 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 There we go. Then enter, hashtag again, version 1.0, enter again, hashtag, and then by, and then your name. Then enter, enter again, and then here we'll type in import, and then space BGE, Blender Game Engine, enter, enter again, and the top line will do what we had before. So cont space is equal to, and bge dot logic dot, and then lowercase g for get current controller, both with capital C's, and then make sure you have brackets on the end, round ones. Then enter again, and the next line we'll type in scene space is equal to bge dot logic dot, and then lowercase g, and then get current. I can't spell current. Okay, get current, and then scene with a capital S. Scene. There we go. And then 2 round brackets at the end of that as well. Then enter again, and then here we'll type in own. So OWN, then space is equal to space again CONT, and then dot and owner. There we go. And then we'll press enter and press enter again. Okay, and so now what we'll do is import what we need. So if we go in our car and we look down here, we have a message for get in, and what that does is over here it sets the start timer property to true. So first thing we need to import is our message get in. So to do this, we need to first of all import our sensor message to see whether it's received the message, and then check the message within. So what I'm going to do is type in MSG again. Get rid of my cursor. So MSG and then space, and then is equal to, and then cont.sensors, and then do a square bracket and the quotation mark and whatever this is called. So this is called get in, just like before. So get in, quotation mark, closing square bracket, then I'm going to press enter, and press enter again. Then, just before we do anything else, we'll quickly call this something. So, this can be get in car, GIC, underscore, and then car, .py. So in here, what we have to do now is similar to the player function from our getInCarPlayer here. So similar to this function, we need to do the same, but for each car. So, if I can get onto the right script, so this one here. And so we basically need to do that exact function for whatever car the script is on. Although, if you have lots and lots of cars, like 100 maybe, then you're going to have to change this value for every single one. So instead of doing that, we can be smart and we can actually take the name using this own function and assign it to the script. So what we're going to do in here on line 13, we're going to type in car with a capital C instead of player like we had on the player. So first of all, select our car, then type in car space is equal to, and then space again. And in here what we're going to type is scene, and then dot objects, just like we had before, except now we're going to do a square bracket, and instead of quotation marks to point out just one object to use, we're actually going to type in OWN for CONT.owner, so just OWN, and then at the end of it we're going to type in, I'll move my cursor, at the end of it we're going to type in dot and then name. So scene.objects, and then in the brackets own.name, and then we'll do a closing square bracket and press enter. So now that will get the name of the controller owner. Okay, and it will assign it to the variable car. So if we go back to our car here, this right here is actually useless. So we can delete that, and then what we need to do is hold down shift with our car selected, select the sensor on the right, hold down shift, select the sensor on the left, and then what we're going to do under car, under controllers, choose Python, and up the top here, join up car sensor 1, and move down and join up original car sensor down here as well. Okay, so join them both into the same Python module or script. Then in here, we're going to choose getInCar, so that one right there. And that should be about it for now. Okay, so make sure those two are joined together. Now one quick thing we need to do is in here I'm going to call this getIn, so it is the same as what we typed in here, and then for the second one I'm going to type in getIn and then just the number 2 for getIn2 like that. And then over here back in my script I'm going to go to the end, press enter, and type in MSG, then the number 2, and then space is equal to, space again, move my cursor, and CONT dot sensors, and we'll do a square bracket, quotation mark, and then getIn, and then the number 2, another quotation mark, and a closing square bracket. Okay, so those two done. We have both of those sensors in. Then I'm going to go over here and press enter, and enter again. And then now what we need to do is, if you notice previously on our AND controller here, it would assign our start timer to true. So what we need to do is one more thing in the properties here, so maybe line 15, what we need to do is check for the property start timer. So what I'm going to do is with my car selected here again, as you can see start timer is down here. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to type in start and then underscore timer and then underscore status. So the start timer status. Then I'm going to do a space is equal to space again. Then what I'm going to do is type in OWN from the top up here, so just the same as this one, except then I'm going to do a square bracket, a quotation mark, and then in here I'm going to type in my property I want. So I want to check the status of start timer. So in here I'm going to type in start timer, exactly how it's spelt in here. Then I'm going to do a closing quotation mark and closing square bracket. Using our Python controller here, we need to check the messages that have been received by our message sensors or our car sensors. So what we're going to do in here is type in if for a if statement. I'm going to move my cursor so you guys can see what I'm doing. Then I'm going to type in MSG, so the first message, and then I'm going to do dot positive, so just like a key press, dot positive. Then I'm going to do a spacebar, type in or, and then I'm going to do another spacebar and type in MSG number 2 and then dot positive. Okay, this means that either sensor could be positive for this to happen. Then at the end, I'm going to type in a colon, and then I'm going to press enter. And now what we want to do is check what is within the message. So what I'm going to do is type in if spacebar, and then in here what I'm going to do is type in a opening quotation mark, and this is going to be what I'm being sent. So in here I'm being sent get in. So I'm going to type in get in. Then I'm going to put a closing quotation mark. So if get in, and then I'm going to do a space. And then we'll type in and do another space, and then we'll type in str for string function. Then we'll do a opening bracket, a round one, and in here we need our first message, so msg. So in here we'll put string, and then msg, and then dot subject. Then we'll do a closing round bracket. So if get in here in quotation marks, which is obviously a string, is in the subject for the message sensor right here, and we'll turn that into a string as well for the subject, so we can check them together like that. Type in a or as well, like we had up the top here, so it can be for both of them. And then I'm going to do a spacebar and type in a quotation mark, and the same thing, get in, and then a closing quotation mark, a spacebar, and then in, and then a spacebar and str, and a opening smooth bracket, and then msg, and then dot subject. And then at the end here, I'm going to type a closing round bracket like that. Okay, so if either of these happen, then at the very end, I'm also going to type in a colon. Then I'm going to press enter and go to the new line. As you'll see, there's now 2 indentations, which means there's almost 2 criteria to happen. So if either of these happen, what we want to do is set start timer to true. So to set our property to true, we have to use our scene function. And if we go down, our scene function is using the name car. So in here, I'm going to type in, move my cursor and type in car with a capital C, just like it's spelt over here. Then I'm going to type in a square bracket and then a quotation mark. And this is the property I want. So I want start timer. So I'm going to type in start timer, and then a closing quotation mark and a closing square bracket. So at the end here, I'm going to click in the end and press spacebar, then do is equal to, and another spacebar, and I'm going to change this to true. So in here, type in true. I'm going to press enter, and then press enter again, and press delete 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and as the first indentation done, second one, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 8 times in total. And then I'm going to start my timer. So to do this, what I'm going to do is type in if, and then check the status of start timer. So I'm just going to do if start, and then underscore timer, and underscore status. And then I'm going to type in equals twice, because it's checking it. Then I'm going to do spacebar and type in true. So if start timer status is equal to true, then I'm going to add my second criteria. So I'm going to do a spacebar, type in and then another spacebar, and in here I need to check the timer. So I'm just going to quickly type in OWN, and then a opening square bracket and a quotation mark, and in here I'm going to check for timer. So on the car, as you can see, timer over here on 60. So I'm going to check that the property timer, and then here, closing quotation mark, closing square bracket, and then space. And then here I'm going to type in is greater than, and then I'm going to do space, and then the number's 0. There we go. So if the timer status is true, and our timer property is greater than 0, then what we're going to do is type in a colon, and press enter, go to the next line, So if this criteria has been met, what we want to do is constantly add -1 to our property timer. To minus off the timer, what I'm going to type in is OWN and then a square bracket, and in here, timer, another closing quotation mark and a closing square bracket. Then I'm going to type in plus equals space. I'm going to type in round bracket. Then in the bracket, I'm going to type -1. And then at the end, I'm going to type a round bracket as well. And the next thing we want to do is check whether timer is equal to 0. So I'm going to press enter, enter again, and then press delete 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then over here, what I'm going to do is type in if spacebar, and then I want to check whether own timer is equal to 0. So in here, I'm going to type in OWN, a square bracket, and then a quotation mark, and timer, a closing quotation mark, and a closing bracket, and then a space, and then 2 equals, and another space, and the number 0. And then I'm going to do a colon, and press enter to go to the next line. Then if we check over here, when it's equal to 0, we'll follow along here, go along here, and we have 3 properties. It assigns drive to true, it assigns start timer to false, and assigns timer to 60. First of all, change start timer to false so it stops minusing. So in here, what we're going to do is type in CAR for car, and then a square bracket, quotation mark, start timer, spelled exactly like before, closing quotation mark, closing square bracket, a space, and then is equal to, and then a space, and then in here we'll assign it to false. So as you'll notice up the top here, it's checking a value, so 2 equals signs, and down here it's assigning a value, so only 1 equals sign. So now we've done the first one, so I think this one here, assigning start timer to false, so we can delete that. We've done that, then we'll press enter, go to the next line, and the next line is assigning timer to 60, so we'll do that next. So just like we had before here, adding -1, I'm going to do a similar thing, but it's going to be assigning it to 60. So what I'm going to do here is type in OWN, square bracket, and then a quotation mark, and the property timer, quotation mark, square bracket. I'm going to type in a plus, and then an equals, and then I'm going to press spacebar and just type in 60. And there we go, assign drive to true is the last one left. So over here, I'm going to click, press enter, go to the next line, and here what I'm going to do is type in car with a capital C, then a square bracket, a quotation mark, and I'm going to type in drive with a capital D, like that, drive, then a closing quotation mark, and a closing square bracket, then I'm going to type in space, and then is equal to, and space again, and true. We can delete this, we can delete add timer -1, and over here start timer to true we can also delete. We can delete this time is equal to 0, and we can also delete start timer is equal to true. And the rest we'll leave just for now. Okay, and the top here and controller we can delete, and the other 2 we can delete as well. Okay, and as you can see, it's already getting a lot smaller, which is nice. Now I can move around. If I go up to my sensor where it roughly is, somewhere around here, press E. There we go. We have start timer set to true, and we have car set to true, but our timer is only on 59, which means it's only -1. However, we want this to be happening constantly until timer is equal to 0. So to do that, what we're going to do is press escape to first of all go out of game mode. Then under car, what we need to do for timers and stuff is here we need to add an always sensor on a true pulse, and here we need to join this up to the Python controller. So what that basically does is it constantly runs this Python script, and then it will constantly add -1 to our property until it's equal to 0, and then all this other stuff will happen. So to convert the rest of the logic bricks, what we're going to do is over here make a new text block again, and in here we're going to rename this GOC for get out of car. I'm going to move my cursor, and then I'm going to type in underscore and then car. Okay, so this script is for the car, and then I'm going to type in .py afterwards, And then in here, again, we're going to do the same old thing. So description up here, and this is going to be describing what the script does. So this script lets the player get out of the car and sends a message. Okay, that's basically what this is going to do. Again, next line, another hashtag. In here, we're going to put in the version number, so version 1.0. Another line, another hashtag, and then your name. Okay, then enter again, and now we'll type in the same old, import BGE, and enter again, and then CONT, and then space is equal to, space again, and BGE.logic.get current controller. Hopefully you've picked up that that is a lowercase g now. Then 2 round brackets at the end, enter again, and we'll just take scene here. So scene is equal to bge.logic, .logic, then dot get current, and then scene here, and then 2 round closing brackets like that. Okay, and then at the end we're going to type in OWN or own, and then space, and then is equal to, and space again, and then cont.owner. Okay, and then we'll press enter and press enter again. Go all the way down to line 11. Then what we're going to have to import is, as you can see, or if we go back to our logic bricks, the first and controller here, join up to these two, and this is checking if the property drive is equal to true, and also if we have pressed E. So I guess we can turn that off. And so we'll need to import the status of drive, and we'll also need to import the keyboard E. So first thing I'm going to do here is import the keyboard, so CONT, oh no, we need to give it a name first, so I'm going to call this get out, just like it is down here. Then I'm going to press space and then equals and space again, and then I'm going to type cont.sensors, square bracket, quotation mark, get out, just like it is named right here. Then closing quotation mark, closing square bracket, and then I'm going to press enter, go to the next line, and then what I'm going to do here is import my property, so maybe we'll add another line, and then what I'm going to do here is minimize that first of all, and I'm going to type in drive for the property, and then space is equal to, space again, and then OWN, and then a square bracket, and a quotation mark, and the property we want to get, so drive, so we'll type in drive here, closing quotation mark, closing square bracket, then I'm going to press enter. Then also what we're going to do, maybe I'll just delete this line so they're joined up together. What we're going to do here is we're going to be using the scene function again, so this is going to be car, and then is equal to scene.objects. Then we'll do a square bracket, and just like we did before, because it's just for this individual car, and here we're going to type in OWN or own.name. Oh, name. There we go. Then I'm going to type in a closing square bracket, and then I'm going to press enter, go to the next line, and the next thing I want to get is the player, because I want to know who to send the message to. So in here I'm going to type in player is equal to scene, and then dot objects, and then I'm going to do a square bracket, and in here I can put quotation marks and type in player with a lowercase p, just like if we select our player, he is called in here. Okay, so back to the car, closing quotation mark and closing square bracket. Then I'm going to press enter, go to a new line, and then what I need to do is I need to send a message back to the player to tell him he can get out now. So what I'm going to do is on my car, I'll minimize this always sensor, and in here I'm going to add a message, and as you can see we already have one here, and look, it's already filled out for us. So what I'm actually going to do is delete this and leave this message with get out, and we want to actually join this up to our Python controller down here. Okay, so join the message with get out and join it to this Python controller. Okay, and then up the top here we need to rename this to get out. There we go, and minimize that. So in here we will import this message actuator. So in here I'm going to type in MSG all in capitals, and then space is equal to, and then space, and then I'm going to type in cont.actuators, and then square bracket, quotation mark, and the name, which is get out, quotation mark, closing square bracket, and then I'm going to press enter and enter again. So the first thing I'm going to do is type in if, then spacebar. So if get out, like we've named it here, is dot positive. Oh, positive. There we go. So if this is positive, then we'll do a spacebar, and we need a second criteria, which is that drive is equal to true, and I'm going to type in and then a spacebar, and type in drive with a capital D, and then another spacebar, 2 equals, and another spacebar, and then true with a capital T. So if we press get out, or press the E key to get out, and drive is equal to true, then we'll do a semicolon, press enter to go to the next indentation. So in here what I'm going to do is just like we have in here, car. I'm going to click in here, and I'm going to type in car, and then a square bracket and a quotation mark, and the property I want, and the property that I want is drive, closing quotation mark, closing square bracket. Then I'm going to type in a space, an equals, and a space, so just one equals, which means I'm assigning, and we want drive to be false because we don't want it to move. Okay, and then I want to press enter. Okay, and then one more thing we need to do is, if you go along to our Python controller here, we want to go to our message, and if you think about it, if we were to have 100 cars and we were to hop in one and then get out, they would actually all be sending this get out message back to the player. So it would be no one else but the player, so we can fill in the field in here to player. Okay, there we go. Then we will minimize that. So make sure it's set to player and get out. And then in here what we'll do is activate that one actuator. So cont.activate, and then what we're going to do in here is put in a square bracket, a quotation mark, and then I'm going to activate my actuator. So actually I don't need this quotation mark and square bracket because I have already set it out here. So cont.activate, I can do a round bracket and just type in the name MSG in capitals, closing round bracket, and now we can press enter, and then we'll press delete 4 times. And because we're activating an actuator, we need to deactivate it if the criteria isn't true. So we'll type in else, do colon, enter, and then cont.deactivate, and then a round bracket, MSG, and another closing round bracket. Okay, so whenever we activate something, we have to obviously deactivate it, and we'll just use an else statement. So what I'm going to do is make a new script, and this is going to be for when the player over here receives the message to get out of the car. So what I'm going to do is over here, click create new text block, and first of all I'm going to call this GOC and then underscore player, so get out of car for the player, and .py afterwards, like before. Okay, up the top here, hashtag, explain what it does. It restores player movement, and with a timer. Okay, we'll do enter, another hashtag, version 1.0, another hashtag, and your name. Okay, enter, enter, and then first thing, import BGE, just like before. Enter, enter again, and then cont is equal to, and bge.logic.getCurrent controller, and 2 closing brackets, both round. Then I'm going to press enter and type in scene, and then space is equal to, and then space bge.logic.get, and then current, and then scene with a capital S and spelled correctly, and then 2 closing round brackets at the end. Then down the bottom, OWN or own, space is equal to space again cont and then dot owner. Okay, then enter and enter again. So very similarly to before, so for our get in car, there we go, we want to be setting up a timer that looks very similar to this. So just to make this process easier, I'm going to select all of this and press Ctrl C to copy, go ahead to my get out of car player, and making sure I'm on a new line, press Ctrl V to paste. Okay, and up the top here is our sensors. So right here we don't have two message sensors, we only have one. If we have one at all, do we? We have a get in, which we don't need, I'll delete that. And we have a get out, so we do have a get out message sensor. So in here for message, I'm going to delete get in, and I'm going to delete that, type in get out instead. Okay, and from message 1, I'm going to change this to get out. There we go. And then here, the second line, we don't have two message sensors, we only have one, so delete that. Then over here, cars equal to scene.objects, and instead of own name, this is actually going to be player first of all, so player, and then is equal to scene.objects, and we don't need own.name, although we can have it if we want to, but we know that there is only one player at once. So in here we can type in a quotation mark, and then we can type in our player's name. So again, just lowercase p and player, player, like that, closing quotation mark, and a closing square bracket, just like before. Start timer over here, start timer status, own and start timer. As we can see down here we have a start timer property, so that is all fine. Message 1.positive, we don't have a message 2, so we can delete that. And we don't have a second criteria, so we can delete or as well. And we want to keep deleting all the space until the colon is beside the E, just like that, okay? And then in the second one, if get in, we don't actually have get in, we have get out, so delete in and type in out instead. If get out in the string message subject, and we don't need this or statement, so we can delete all of that all the way up to the colon and press delete. Again, make sure it's right beside the bracket. And then in this next line, car and then start timer is equal to true. We don't have car, we have player, so we'll click in here, delete car, type in player with a capital P. Okay, start timer status is equal to true. We have that up here, so that's all fine. And then own timer, we have a timer over here, it's equal to 0, that's fine. We have an own timer, which is fine as well. Own timer we have a start timer, but not for car. So again, delete car and type in player. And over here, own, we have a own timer, and the last one, we are a player, not a car. So again, type in player with a capital P, and then also the property here, drive, we don't have. It's actually called car. So here, we want to delete that and type in car. Car with a lowercase a and lowercase r. Now very important here as well, at the end of the timer, we don't want to set car to true, because that means our player won't be able to move. It will mean that they're still in the car, which they're not. So we're going to change this true here to false. Okay, just like that. I'm going to quickly set that up with another Python controller. So add another one, and here do getting out of car for player. And in the criteria, we'll join in our message. And I think that was the only sensor, yep. So that's just fine, minimize that. And here this AND controller, which joins to assigning car to true, we don't need. We did that all on here. This we don't need. Assigning start timer to true we don't need. In fact, we don't need any of these properties, we already did all of that. But now you'll notice there is one called remove parent, which means we do need to remove the parent once our player is free to walk around again. So to remove the parent, at the end of this player car is equal to false, I'm going to press enter, and in here I'm going to type in own or own, and then dot for a function, and remove all in lowercase, and then a capital P for parent, like that. And then I'm just going to type in 2 round brackets. So own and then remove the parent and 2 round brackets. Okay, so that will remove the parent. So we don't need this remove parent anymore. Get in, that is joined to the Python, so we do need that. Apart from that though, we'll go over to our sensors now and delete the ones we don't need here. So start time is equal to true, we've already set that in the script. Property is equal to 0, we've already set that. Get out we need, collision we need, and get in we need. Okay, now just some AND controllers in the middle we don't need, so delete that one, and I think that is about it. Oh, one more over here, which is joined to the message, so delete that one as well. Okay, so all the way down to just 3 Python controllers. Then we'll go back to our car over here, and as you can see, there's still an AND controller. And what is this joining up to? This is joining up to the property drive is equal to true, which we've already set, so we can delete that. Keyboard for get out we need, and we need to join this up to a get out of the car Python script, but we don't actually have a controller for that. So here under the car, so select the car, under controller click add Python, and under get out for the keyboard join that in there. Under the script select get out of car for car, click in there, and keyboard is the criteria which we need, so we'll change this to get out of car in here. And the criteria we need is CONT sensors, just get out, and we need an actuator for a message. So the message get out here, we need to join that up to the end of the get out of car.py. So we'll minimize this one, and this one here with the GOC car, we need to join that up to our message over here. Okay, and so now what we're going to do is, maybe if you notice over here, get in car is actually joined to get out, which we don't want. So I'm going to hold down, well first of all zoom in, and then I'm going to hold down control and drag over this line over here. It will pop up with a knife tool, and if I let go, then it will cut that line. And so now it's not joined anymore. Okay, and then here, this AND controller, we don't need either, so delete that. And there we go, so scroll out and minimize that one there. Again, if we go down here, assign drive to false, we don't need that either, so we can delete that. On this side, we'll quickly check our get in car script over here. Get in car, there we go, and there don't seem to be any actuators, so that is fine. We'll minimize that. Over here, get out of car, that's joined to message, which is all we need, so minimize that as well. I'm going to set this Python here, I'm going to push it down like that, and I think that is about it. Now we can drive around, and if I press E, I can get back out again, or can I? No, I can't. And we can see the problem if we look in the top left hand corner. You'll notice for the player the timer is only set to 59. So if we press escape to get out of game mode, you'll notice we don't have an always sensor on true on our player. So go ahead to the player here and add an always sensor, make sure it's true so the script is constantly refreshing, and we want to set this to get out of car for the player. So join that one up there because that's the one with the timer. Okay, so minimize that, and let's try it again. So P, can move around, go to where the sensor is roughly, press E, and we can have a little bit of a drive around, press E to get back out, and there we go, our movement's restored. And so now to prove that this works with multiple cars, what I'm going to do is select a sensor, hold down shift, select my other sensor, hold down shift and select the whole car. Then I'm going to press shift D to duplicate and press GY. And then also what I'm going to do is make a third car, so select both sensors, holding down shift and the whole car, and then shift D to duplicate and GY, move it on the Y axis. And just to show you, you can fully customize these. I'm going to make this first car over here under the motion. I'm going to increase the speed, going backwards and forwards, and A and D is just rotation, so that's fine. And then in this car over here, I'm going to decrease the speed for backwards and forwards. Okay, and so now I'm going to test to make sure the opposite side of the car works. So I'm going to go over here, press E, 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 and nothing's happening. So a quick problem that is easy to fix. If you notice, if we click on here, car sensor 001, we go along to the physics, and you'll notice it is still set to sensor. So our object has nothing to collide with. So here, set it to static, and because you've duplicated cars already, we have to set them all to static as well. Okay, if you set this before you duplicate, then that should all work fine, and you shouldn't have to do that, but yep, that's it. So now we will press P again, and we'll go around to the opposite side, make sure it's working. Okay, press E, there we go, there goes the timer. I can drive my fairly fast car, and I'm happy with that, so I'm going to get back out, go in this car, press E, there goes my timer. Okay, this car's not too good, it's a bit slow, so I'm going to press E. My player is not pleased, so he's going to try this last car over here. Go over to the sensor, press E, get in, and there we go, that's a lot faster, and he likes it. Okay, so there we go. That is the end of the tutorial, guys, and that is how to get proper GTA style getting in and out of car going in the Blender game engine with Python, nice and tidy, nice and efficient, nicely laid out. And now you can also add as many cars as you like. You could literally have 100 different cars and this would still work. So again, if your one didn't work, there'll be a link in the description with a working copy if you want to go ahead and download that. So again, if you did manage to stick around till the end of the video, big thumbs up for you for the endurance. I'm sure many people didn't even get this far. So either way, I hope you learned something. I hope you have a working car demo, which would be awesome, and I also hope you enjoyed the tutorial. If that applies to you, leave a like, comment, share, or even if you're feeling generous, a favorite. All of that stuff is greatly appreciated, and it shows me that you guys like the content and encourages me to make more. So either way, I hope you learned something, have an awesome week, and I'll see you guys in the next video.